All right, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for being with us today. We are here as a coalition of organizations because we deserve a future that belongs to all of us. My name is Brandon Wolf, my pronouns are he, him, and I serve as National Press Secretary at the Human Rights Campaign. And when I say a world that is for all of us, I mean a world where freedom and equality actually mean something, where they're not just hollow slogans on a bumper sticker, but they're values, unconditional, that are worth defending for everyone. It's a world where every single person is treated with the dignity and respect that they deserve. We are here today because we believe that world is possible, and because what we just heard spewing from the stage of the RNC was anything but a vision to create that kind of world. The MAGA Project 2025 agenda poses a direct and existential threat to the future every single one of us know is possible. And so that's why we're here today, in solidarity, standing alongside one another to speak out against that agenda and also to create a vision of what's possible when we work together to make life better for absolutely everyone. You're going to hear from a number of very powerful leaders who are all rooted in the work right here in Wisconsin, who are doing the work day in and day out to take care of community. That's what the future can look like, and I'm excited for you to hear from them. We'll get things kicked off with my friend, my boss, president of the Human Rights Campaign, and a fearless leader for equality, Kelley Robinson.
Thank you so much, Brandon, for that introduction. Good afternoon, Milwaukee. On behalf of the Human Rights Campaign, I'm Kelley Robinson. I serve as president. I use she, her pronouns, and I am proud to be here. Y'all, this is what unity looks like. We're gathered here across reproductive rights, across labor organizing, people that care about educational equity, folks that care about racial justice, folks that care about LGBTQ plus equality. This is unity. And after what we just got this week, the party of Lincoln spiraling into chaos, it's good to be among our chosen family and our allies. You know, the last few weeks have been a whirlwind. Every day we wake up to a new headline that just shakes us to our core, but it's in times like this, in times of uncertainty, that we have to remind ourselves who we are and what we are fighting for. We are fighting for a world where every lesbian, gay, bi, queer, and trans person can live openly, can love freely, and can thrive without fear. We're fighting for a world where our identities are celebrated, not merely tolerated. We are fighting for a world where our families are recognized and protected, where our youth grow up, where they grow up knowing that they are valued and supported. And this isn't just a dream. This world is within our reach. You know, for me, I grew up as a black queer girl on the south side of Chicago, and seeing how far we've come is an inspiration. I mean, 40 years ago, HIV was a death sentence. But today we have a chance to end the HIV epidemic within our generations, within our lifetime. I mean, 40 years ago, coming out at work meant you were fired on the spot. But now, the Respect for Marriage Act is the law of the land. 40 years ago, marrying the person you love wasn't something you could dream about, let alone plan for. But now we are out and we are open and we are more allied than ever before. That kind of change, it didn't happen overnight. It happened because people like us came together in spaces like this to demand better, to do better, to vote for better, to advocate for better. It happened because we built a movement. But here's the truth. The hard truth is that there's a handful of extremists right now who want to drag us backwards. And they've got a vision too, and it's called Project 2025. And let me tell you, it's as dangerous as it is backwards. Project 2025 isn't just another policy proposal, it's a full-on assault on this country and everything that we fought for. Project 2025, it aims to cut federal funding for gender-affirming care for all people. Project 2025 wants to enforce a national ban on health care, from abortion access to health care for transgender folks. Let that sink in. They want to target our life-saving care for Americans of all ages across this country. They are coming after our fundamental right to exist, and it doesn't stop there. They're calling for plans that outlaw the full existence of transgender people. They want to redefine families to exclude people that love like me. They want to cut federal funding for our families. They want to attack our relationships and our kids. They want to attack our right to be recognized at all. They're coming for anti-discrimination protections. They're coming for all that we fought for in workplaces and housing and public accommodations. They want to take it all away. But I'm clear about this, that in moments like this, we're not without hope and we are certainly not without power. And we are gathered here to fight back, because this is Milwaukee. This is a city with a proud history of LGBTQ plus progress. This is a city where pioneers like Eldon Murray fought for gay rights in the 1970s. This is a city where Pride Fest has been celebrating our community for decades. This is a city that has never given up and never backed down. So we're showing up today because we're also planning to show up at the ballot box, isn't that right? Because we're also planning to show up in our communities, isn't that right? We're planning to show up for each other, and every time we do, we know that equality will win, that the vision of true equality will get a little bit closer to within our reach because we show up. So I'm proud to be here in partnership with so many people in our community, with so many allies here, because it shows what a true vision of unity can and will be when we fight together, we stand together, and when we show up for one another. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kelley. Now I'd like to turn it to Tanya Atkinson, who is the CEO of Planned Parenthood here in Wisconsin.
Thank you, everyone. Kelley, thank you so much for coming back to Wisconsin, back to Milwaukee. We are absolutely thrilled for your national leadership. Thank you. So I am Tanya Atkinson. I'm president of Planned Parenthood Advocates of Wisconsin, and it is such a great pleasure to be here today with, in community with all of our friends at HRC and Block and WEAC and our friends at the Labor Council. We are thrilled to be here together. And together we are here to talk about why the values of who we elect really, really matter to people's health, lives, and livelihoods. 451 days. That's 1 year, 2 months, and 25 days. That's how long Planned Parenthood of Wisconsin was forced to suspend abortion services. Despite the statewide collaboration of providers and abortion funds, activists, and volunteers, research shows hundreds of Wisconsin women and people across the gender spectrum who needed an abortion were not able to access that basic care they needed. These are our friends, our families, our neighbors, perhaps even you. People already marginalized in our healthcare systems were the most impacted. People struggling financially, people of color, rural Wisconsinites, and this is in a state with some of the highest sexual and reproductive health inequities in the entire nation. This harm is a direct result of the agenda to repeal Roe. And what we saw these past few days in Milwaukee, that's just the start of their agenda to come after all of our reproductive rights, our bodily freedom, and our autonomy. Maya Angelou said, "When someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time." We need to heed that advice. The past 3 years have taught us that we can never take our freedoms for granted. The November election will help determine whether we continue to restore and expand these cherished freedoms, including abortion, contraception, and IVF, or whether we turn back the clock to a reality where we and the people we care about don't have the freedom to make some of the most important and personal decisions in our lives. We don't want to go back to a time when abortion wasn't accessible in Wisconsin, and we know the people of Wisconsin don't want that either. In November, every vote will count to shape our collective future. That's why it's so important to stand alongside these outstanding advocates here today. This election is a decision about whether we are going to elect leaders who share our values and believe we deserve the ability to make our own deeply personal decisions about what's best for us with support from the people we trust or not. So thank you so much for being here today, and thank you so much to our incredible partners. And now I'm very excited to turn over to my friend Angela Lang with Block.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Angela Lang. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm the executive director of Block, Black Leaders Organizing for Communities. It's been a heavy week here in Milwaukee, in the city that so many of us love and hold dear. And it's been heavy because we know that right up the street from where we're standing, some of our own identities and communities were being attacked right up the street from here. And we are here today to say not here, not in Milwaukee, and not in November. I am a proud, lifelong Milwaukeean by choice. And when people ask what I love about this city, yeah, the lakefront's great, we got a lot of great festivals, but what I love number one about this city is that in the face of adversity and oppression, we find a way to come together and have each other's backs. We find a way to center joy in some of the hardest and darkest times. And this time is no different. We know what's at stake with Project 2025. We know that every basic fundamental human right that already isn't being attacked currently will continue to be attacked and destroyed in our own communities. And as a pansexual Black woman, I do not have time to sit on the sidelines and hope that Project 2025 won't come true. They have shown their hand. They've shown how hateful and spiteful they can be towards people just trying to live a free, authentic, loving life. And we need to heed their warnings. They're not hiding it. It's open, it's honest, it's blunt about what can happen to our communities and our basic fundamental rights. So I'm proud to stand up here today on behalf of Block and continue to fight back and to make sure that all of the rights that my ancestors fought and died for are going to continue to be upheld despite the rhetoric that went on just this week up the street. And with that, I am proud to introduce Peggy Wirtz Olsen, president of WEAC.
Thank you. My name is Peggy Wirtz Olsen. I'm a teacher, and I'm the president of the Wisconsin Education Association Council. I use she, her pronouns. We've all seen it. Raging adults at school board meetings, book bans, ugly words from extreme lawmakers. Most of those attacks are directed at vulnerable children and those of us who've dedicated our lives to make theirs better. 46% of LGBTQ+ youth report feeling unsafe in at least one school setting. And Wisconsin ranks among the worst states in racial inequities and disparities between Black and white residents. Why would anyone want to make a child feel unsafe? Who would turn back efforts to hire more teachers of color? Why drive even one more qualified teacher from the classroom? We don't understand it. We do understand this. When someone shows you who they are, believe them. We know who they are, and we know what they want to do. They want to dismantle public education. Wisconsin educators won't let them. The Project 2025 agenda embraced by Trump and other extremists is the worst of the worst. Their plan would phase out funding for special education students and our safe schools. It would target unions like mine who stand up for public schools, so billions could go to unaccountable private voucher schools, which have been a disaster in Wisconsin. If these extremists assume power, there will be a relentless push to put universal vouchers in every state. The harmful rhetoric isn't new, but it is getting worse. In Wisconsin, we've seen a parade of extreme bills that would ban books and punish our students for who they are. Wisconsin teachers say, "Not on our watch." We care about our students too much. We became teachers to educate children, work with families, and preserve the promise of public education. This week, we heard politicians say they will harm our public schools. Our promise? We won't let them. Wisconsin public school educators will never stop creating safe and inclusive spaces for all youth in our schools. No exceptions. And I'm proud now to introduce Pam Fent, who's the president of the Milwaukee Area Labor Council.
Good afternoon. I'm Pam Fent, she, her pronouns. I'm the president of the Milwaukee Area Labor Council. Our council is made up of labor unions that represent approximately 23,000 workers in the metro area. We are standing together today as organizations that wish to speak out on the divisive rhetoric of the RNC and the disastrous policies contained in Project 2025. We are speaking up in unity against the restrictive voting policies, the attacks on immigrants, so confusing in a nation of immigrants, the rollbacks of reproductive rights, the destructive actions towards public education, and of primary importance to those of us who represent working men and women, the serious challenges to worker safety rules and to the labor policies that help grow the middle class. Our council has serious concerns about the Trump-Vance agenda laid out in Project 2025, which shows their plans to turbocharge anti-worker policies, eliminate or control unions, and eviscerate labor laws and workers' contracts. A second Trump term would put everything we've organized for, good jobs, fair wages, health care, retirement security, worker safety, on the chopping block. The Republicans meeting at their convention in Milwaukee this past week were clearly seeking to present themselves under a kinder, gentler platform as a means to attract voters this fall. But we remain clear in our understanding that their platform is Project 2025, a massive 900-page blueprint for radical right-wing change, which has 36 pages on the Department of Labor alone, all of which would be detrimental to workers and unions. Here's just a sample of the frightening plans in Project 2025. A series of changes that would make it harder to organize unions, a repeal of Davis-Bacon wage rates, and I hope any construction worker listening knows that that means that your job would be turned into a lower-paying job with fewer benefits. A plan to allow for state waivers of the Fair Labor Standards Act, meaning adherence to national overtime rules or minimum wage laws become optional. We've all seen the meme that goes around, like weekends, thank a union. Weekends and 40-hour work week might become a thing of the past. And Project 2025 proposes firing thousands of federal workers and replacing them with people who pass a loyalty test. We are so glad to see the increased press coverage of Project 2025 and how various concerned organizations are doing the research to see what it means for education, reproductive rights, human rights, and democracy in America. At the Labor Council, we will be working to educate union members on how Project 2025 affects the workplace and union rules. The election in November is not about two men. It's about which party has the better policy platform for the people. And we know the Republican policy agenda favors corporations over workers. In closing, I want to unequivocally state that our community stands united in rejecting political violence, and we uphold the rule of law. We are stronger when we work together to address our challenges through peaceful means. In fact, the reason the U.S. is looked to as a leader in the world is our tradition of peaceful transition of power dating back to George Washington. I know that working together, we can ensure a safe election, and a vibrant democracy for all. And I thank the HRC for pulling this event together today.
Thank you so much to all of our partners for being here. Thank you to everyone who is on the front line doing the hard work. I know it's been a challenging week, but I am buoyed by what we just heard. What we heard was, as Kelley said in the beginning, unity. Because the fact of the matter is, every single one of us deserves the world that we've been painting a picture of. Every single one of us deserves a world where we go to work, we get paid a fair wage, and we can put food on the table. Every single one of us deserves the freedom to make decisions about our own bodies, about our families, about our health care. Every single one of us deserves the freedom to have a classroom where we teach honest, accurate history. Every single one of us deserves the freedom to love and to live without fear of violence and discrimination. That is the American dream. A world where freedom and equality really means something, where we show up for each other every single day. But as we laid out, there are people right now, there are extremists right now who are standing in the way of us and that world we so deserve. The Project 2025 agenda and its pillars that would demolish our values here, domestically, and on a global stage is what's standing between us and freedom and equality for all without exception. And that's why, as I said, I'm so buoyed to stand next to these powerful leaders today, because I know that when we show up just like this every single day, knocking doors, making phone calls, when we show up in community over and over again together, that world we deserve is not just possible, it is absolutely inevitable. I want to thank the members of the press who are here today, those who are tuning in virtually. I know some of our speakers have got to dash pretty quickly, but if you have follow-up questions, you can pull me aside and I'll see if we can snag folks for one-on-one. Thanks for being here.